Hey, ioStux here, uploading the first session of 2020. If you like what you see in this video, make sure to head over to ioStux.com in order to get more information on how you can get a session yourself. Or you can also check the description for links to my Discord, where I answer questions daily in my #AskStuxAnything channel, which is available for everyone. If you find these sessions helpful, share them with your friends, and if you want to see more of them, make sure to subscribe to the channel and enable notifications. Alright, enough of the disclaimers, let's get right into the session, this time with an Orisa main, and it was actually a scrimvot, so he was playing with a team against another team on Paris. And we're going to talk a lot about some very, very important main tank fundamentals that apply to pretty much every rank below Masters. There's this one in particular.
Oh god. So
Also, by the way, did you send? You didn't send a timestamp, did you? So I'm assuming
no, it's just the first game. Yeah,
okay.
it's the first game.
Okay.
Yeah, so I chose this one because I think the first game was very close. We're playing Paris, which sucks, but it's when we defend, I believe we hold them in the second point and they don't get it. But then when we attack, we try to attack the second point and I think get one tick, and then we were like struggling. I didn't know what to do in those situations. Like I just like kind of blanked. And that's kind of my issues where I don't have like confidence sometimes. Where like if I don't know what to do, then I just blank out, and like I don't like try things, or I don't talk to my team. I kind of just shut down. But when I do know what to do, then I'm just like, okay, guys, we have to do this, we have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I just feel like if you could just guide me in like what I should be thinking about in these situations, then I could just learn like better.
Well, I'm just gonna skip until the round actually starts. Press tab. Okay, can you go a little into why you chose Orisa here?
We're practicing meta, so we're doing spam. We're doing Orisa, Sigma, Hanzo, Ashe, Zen, Bap. We're doing
yes, but that's not
Ashe.
the answer. Okay, wait,
Yeah.
that's not the answer
Okay.
I was looking for. So first of all, this is with your team, right? So this is a pre-made.
Yeah.
Right. So your comp is like what's the full comp?
So it's Orisa, Sigma, Hanzo, Ashe,
Sigma, Hanzo,
Ashe,
Ashe,
Bap, and Zen.
Zen. Okay. So explain your pick and explain how this comp works. Why are you guys playing this?
Well, so we're playing a spam comp. So we're just the goal of the comp is to just keep them out of this and then like break their shields and then just murder them. So the reason I pick her is I'm just supposed to combo my halts with either the Ashe or the Sigma Rock. So and then like we keep rotating around the map until we just kill them. We don't want to brawl them.
So
and
if you could describe the general play style, if you could describe this comp with one word, what would it be?
Like a bunker comp.
Yeah, so bunkers. So what are your main objectives?
It's just to stay like out of distance and just shoot them from afar until they're all dead.
Okay. Do you prefer to stay grouped or abuse off angles?
We stay grouped.
Okay, good. So what is your job as Orisa specifically? Especially now in the context of a team, especially.
Okay. So I just use my shield to protect them, and I like enable plays with my pole.
So your main responsibility as Orisa here in a bunker comp, whenever you're playing a main tank in a comp that is very grouped, you're essentially responsible for your entire team's positioning, right? If you're playing something like Winston in dive, then where you position isn't really all that relevant because people are going to be taking off angles anyway. But where you position essentially determines where your teammates position. Which means that the most difficult part for you is actually going to be not just knowing where to put your shield, but also knowing when to fall up, when to fall back, when to push back up, etc. Okay. But yeah, I mean, this comp is kind of simple to understand. So get rid of that. Let's see what went wrong. So what team are you playing against? Is this in like about evenly matched?
I believe so.
Okay. So I'm gonna pause here in a second.
Oh.
Why?
You heard me scream because I was like, "Oh my god!" Because I knew I messed up.
So this wasn't intentional?
No, this wasn't intentional, not at all.
Okay, good. I'm just gonna write down a little 1 here. I'm gonna explain why later.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're starting to see the enemy team comp now, right?
Yeah.
So right there, you wanted to pull the Reinhardt, I'm assuming, right? But you just didn't hit him?
No. Well, can you pause? Just
Yeah.
it's just so I think what I was thinking is not to pull the Reinhardt because then he shields. So I'm thinking we could get a pick here. If they threw Dynamite and
so you
Rock.
want to split like the backline from him?
Yeah. So I don't want to get the Reinhardt because he's walking ahead of them. And then we actually talk about it in the VOD, maybe not in the first game, that we think that their Reinhardt is the most inexperienced player because he always goes ahead of their team.
That is not really very solid reasoning, though. Like, you don't want to just go, oh, this guy's bad, we should punish him for his badness.
Oh, no. Well, I don't know this now, obviously, but I was thinking I don't want to get the Reinhardt. I want to, if we get him, then that's fine. But like I'm saying, like it's better if we just get a pick.
Mm-hmm. See, that's the problem. You want to, so you just said you want to get a pick.
Right.
Right. But that isn't quite exactly how you actually want to play this. So, looking at the enemy team comp, right? What is the enemy team running?
They're running like some form of, I guess they're playing. I think this is Orisa, but like they have like a brawly comp, and we as opposed to us having a spam comp. So they want to get on the point.
Comp. They're not playing a brawly comp.
No.
How are they going to brawl with you guys up here? Also,
So
they have an Orisa. Like it's gonna be.
Oh,
kind of...
yeah. I just call anything with Reinhardt a brawly comp because they want to get close.
That's not quite how it works. In this case, the Reinhardt is played as an off tank, not a main tank, because there's an Orisa.
Oh wait, okay, so hold
on. Right. So you have one main tank who just determines how you want to take the fights and where you want to play, and then you have one off tank that just supports the main tank. Right?
Oh no, sure, but I'm saying like they still want to get close though, no?
No, why would they want to get close?
Because they have a Reinhardt. And they have to get on point.
Again, the Reinhardt isn't the main tank.
No, I understand. No, I know that. No, but I'm saying like, if their comp as a 6, like in the entire comp, they want because they have advantage over us if they brawl us because they have Reinhardt.
No, not really.
So then, what does the Reinhardt even do? He's just a shield bot?
Pretty much, yeah. You need to think again. You're thinking to Call of Duty here. What is their goal? What do they want to do?
They want to get the objective.
Right. Their goal is to get to the objective.
Right.
Okay. What advantage does a Reinhardt have over a Sigma?
He has more shield and more like stronger point presence.
Yeah. So he has so his shield is stronger. What else can his shield do that Sigma's shield can't as easily?
Like move it around.
Yeah, it's much easier to move it around. Right. The reason they play Reinhardt here isn't because they want to play like goats and just brawl and run in. The reason they run Reinhardt here is just because it's an extra shield and gives them a good point presence. Because once they're on the point, then you guys have to run into the Reinhardt rather than the Reinhardt running into you guys.
Okay.
Right. So for them, the goal isn't like they're essentially playing bunker, and the Reinhardt is just saying, "Oh, if you guys run on point, I'm gonna slam you." Right. Okay. So with that knowledge, can you summarize what is their main goal? What do they want to achieve?
They want to get on point.
They want to get on the point as quickly as possible. That's why they have a Lucio. That's why they have the Orisa Reinhardt. They just want to get on point. Because once they're on point, why does that suck for you as a bunker comp if the enemy team gets on the point?
Because we lose advantage because we have to get on point.
Because you have to get on point. You want the enemy team to run into you and then the other way around. So what is your guys' goal? How do you want to play this?
We have to destroy all the shields.
Exactly. Your main goal is not necessarily like getting picks is nice, right? And obviously your pull did get the Lucio, but the main focus that I want to have here is I don't just want to tell you what to do, or I don't just want you to copy pro strats. I want you to actually understand how this game works. So the pick here is nice, but the overarching goal is to just prevent them from getting onto the point, because if they make it onto the point, you guys are screwed. Which is the reason why Paris as a map is terrible, because it is ridiculously defender-sided. It is really, really difficult to attack because you have to go through the choke, and then you need to go, like, if you just compare this map to, say, Hanamura, like, getting on Hanamura from the choke onto the point is like a short walk in comparison to this freaking pilgrimage that you have to go through. Right? And the point here is completely exposed, whereas the point on Hanamura is covered. Which is why taking the first point of Hanamura is relatively easy compared to a first point like Paris. Right? So, it's just important. Yeah?
Can I ask a question? Yeah, so...
Yes.
So I understand what you're saying, that our win condition is to destroy the shields so that we can kill... I don't want to say that because...
Yeah, it's not to destroy the shields, it's just to delay them any means, any way possible.
Yeah, because our goal is to waste their time. It's not really it's not to pop off in the kill feed. Okay, I got that. So... But the way we want to do that is we have to take away as many resources as we can, and that is in their shields.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying if we like what they did there. Oh, okay, I see. I kind of answered my own question because I was gonna say if we get a pick, they have to wait, so that we're wasting time anyway. But I think the only reason they waited is because ended up getting the Lucio, and that was just
Mm-hmm.
lucky.
Yes, but yeah,
Because if they would
exactly.
have gotten,
Because here's so in the end the question becomes, okay, we know that we need to delay them. If they get onto the point, that's not really good for us. So how can you? There are two main ways that you can delay them from getting onto the point, that you can hamper with their advances. What are those two ways? So one we
well,
already found out. One way you can delay them is by getting a pick, because then they have to wait.
yeah,
What other thing can you do that forces them to wait, which prevents them from getting onto the point?
destroy their shields.
Exactly. So you can either go for picks and they have to wait for respawns, or you can destroy the Reinhardt shield, for example, and they have to wait for shields, because they can't push out if they don't have shields. And the Orisa shield, like,
It's a stationary one.
exactly. So when they're on the point, then the Orisa shield becomes really useful. But while they're rotating, the only shield that actually protects them while they're rotating is going to be the Reinhardt shield. The Orisa shield doesn't do as much, right? So while they got onto the point, the Reinhardt shield helps them, and once they're on the point, the Orisa shield takes over as like the primary shield, right? So you have the option between getting a pick or going for shields. Now, which one of them should you choose? Which one of them is the better approach?
Well, from what we talked about, I guess you want me to say this destroying the shield.
Well, I don't want you to you know the right answer because I've given you the right answer.
Yeah,
I
but
want you to explain why it is the right answer. Can you think of reasons why it's better than going for picks?
In thinking of it based on time, because it takes someone. Because I honestly still think that the pick is more important. Because if they die, it takes 10-second respawn, and then he has to come back. Like so, I say like 13 seconds. But if you destroy the shield, it comes back in 5 seconds.
Yes,
Reinhardt shield.
But again, you need to think about the consequences of getting of the process of getting there. So breaking the process of breaking the shield versus the process of getting a pick, right? And then what you get out of it, right? So let's take this step by step. So
okay.
The process of getting a pick. Can you describe the process of getting a pick with your comp here against their comp?
So the way we did it here, I just pulled and then we got lucky and got a pick because we threw a rock and we threw a dynamite.
Exactly. You didn't get lucky. The enemy team did something wrong. I want you to watch this and figure out why you should not have gotten a pick here.
Oh, they threw the lamp down.
Because there's a lamp.
Yeah, okay. So then the Lucio was out of position, or the lamp was thrown wrong. I mean,
exactly. Either one doesn't matter. It means they made a mistake. You would not have gotten this Lucio if they wouldn't have made this mistake. Okay. So
that makes sense.
Essentially, so how can you consistently get a pick against this comp?
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying it's easier to destroy their shields than to get a pick.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
So pretty much the only way you can get a pick here is if they're bad and they make a mistake like this, right? Whereas and also we need to think about the consequences. So the consequences of getting the pick, right, is they're just going to sit here. What are they going to do while they sit there?
They're safe because they're behind cover.
Exactly. Reinhardt shield here, Orisa shield here, and then if we just break wait, the shields, zip until the Lucio comes back. Okay.
And if we break the shields as they're rotating, we can just kill them.
Yeah, let's take it one step at a time. So, going for picks, the process of going for picks is very difficult because it relies and it depends on whether they mess up their cooldowns. And the consequences are, so what happens after you get the pick, they just sit here, barricade themselves in, and wait until they regroup. Okay. Now, the process of shield breaking. Can you describe the process of shield breaking with your comp?
Well, it takes a sec, but we just all gotta shoot the shields.
Exactly. And I mean, you have a Hanzo, Ashe, Orisa, like Bap, Zen, Sigma. Those shields go down very quickly, right? And, you know, the immortality field prevents you from getting any picks, but does it prevent you from breaking shields?
No, it doesn't.
No. In fact, do they have anything that can prevent you from shooting shields? No. Which means it's a safe plan. Going for picks is very inconsistent. Sure, maybe it works once, but what if it doesn't the next fight? right? Or maybe the enemy team is really bad and it just works like over and over again until you hold the first point. But that's not really the goal, because eventually you're going to play against a better team and it's not going to work anymore. And then you're going to sit there and you're going to go, our strategy of getting picks used to always work, but now it doesn't. What the hell is going on? Whereas going for shields is the most consistent play, and this goes all the way up to a pro level. A lot of people see Overwatch League matches and they go, oh, why do they not just play double sniper? They've got like aim and they can kill everyone. Like, why do they not play high skill cap characters like Tracer or Sombra or Genji, right? And the answer to that is not because Tracer is underpowered or because Genji is underpowered. The main reason they do it is not because those characters cannot be theoretically more effective than the characters that are meta. It's just that the meta characters can do pretty much the same, like close to the same thing that one of those high skill cap characters can do. It's just 10 times easier. Like, why would you try to farm headshots as like Widowmaker, or why would you try to go for one Eclipse as Tracer if there are just picks that can stand behind a shield and you know, just farm up ultimates and then throw ultimates at the other team, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just about like theoretically if it's played perfectly which one is better, but which one is easier and more consistent to execute. Now, let's say you break the shields, right? So they go through, and instead of just pulling the Lucio, you actually pull the Reinhardt out there with you, right? Which means that the Reinhardt is just sitting there, and his shield and his shield is going down, right?
Yeah.
I'm fairly confident you can break his entire shield off of just one Orisa pull. Like your guys is
really?
Like, I mean, of course, like he has like a 1600 HP shield, I think, right now. Right. The Hanzo Storm arrow breaks like a third of it on its own. And then the rest of you is just spamming it. Like, you can break those shields ridiculously fast. It's insane. Like, one fully charged Hanzo arrow plus an E, an Ashe holding left click, you holding left click, Baptiste holding left click, Zen holding left click, Sigma holding left click. That shield doesn't last very long. If you can't destroy it, you can get it very low. Now, if the enemy team, let's say the enemy team is huddled up in that room, and their shields are down, is that better or worse than the situation that you caused through the pick? So to remember, after you got the pick, they just barricaded themselves in there and hid behind shields. What are they going to do if you break the shields instead of going for the pick?
Oh, the same thing. Because they just have to hide anyway.
Except this time, they don't have shields.
Yeah, they don't have
shields. Which means
shields.
they have to hide. They're not even getting any ult charge. Your Sigma can just throw his orbs in there, and he's probably going to get ult charge. Your Ashe can throw in dynamite. She's probably still going to get ult charge. You can try to pull them in front of the doorway and give your team pick potential because they don't have shields. Right? So going for shield break leads to a situation that can lead to picks. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then getting a pick doesn't lead to a situation where you can break their shields.
Exactly, because they're just going to sit there and they're going to shoot back at you and you're completely even.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
I guess the reason why, because when you play, like you said earlier, like what you said, like I obviously didn't recognize that the reason I got the pull and got the kill was because they played bad. I thought we just got, I honestly thought we got lucky, but like my teammates followed up on the pull because I called it. And then, you know, it worked. So I was just like, okay, cool. So that, to me, that seems like a win. But like when you say it like that, like it makes so much sense.
Exactly.
Like,
it's about the reasoning behind it. Okay.
Yeah.
Like if I give you a very specific math equation, there are a lot of ways to solve it, right? But that doesn't mean that way of solving that specific equation is going to work on another equation. That's why formulas exist. That's why you learn a squared plus b squared equals c squared and all of that stuff. Because that stuff doesn't just apply to any old number, right? Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. I didn't. It's hard to see if I review it on my own. Is what I'm trying to say. Like to me, like that pick seemed like, oh, it worked. So we should do that more. You know what I mean? Yeah, but like now that you brought it up, like that makes sense. Yours makes more sense.
Okay, good. So, the reason why it's also important to understand these things, right? Because now our analysis of this situation is independent from the outcome, right?
Yeah.
Because that's something. It's something that comes from poker. Actually, it's called results-oriented thinking, where someone goes, "Ooh, I've been winning a lot of money. Apparently, what I'm doing has to be correct."
Yeah, then those people keep playing and they lose all their money.
And they lose all of their money because they play stupidly, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
going to lose their money anyways because it's gambling, but they're going to lose it
Yeah.
much quicker and they're not going to have as much fun. So,
Yeah.
and the reason why this is important is now that you understand it, right? You can communicate that with your team, because as the main tank, you hold a certain responsibility. Well, technically, everyone holds that responsibility, but I'm going to be blunt here. Your teammates, or your team is it's a diamond team. They're not watching Overwatch League VODs and analyzing them in their free time, right? Which means that they're not going to come up with ways how to play these comps in the most consistent way possible, right? Which is why you need to go through that process and you need to ask these questions, and then when you come to conclusions, you need to tell your team about that. Like, hey guys, we're not going to go for picks, right? They need to go on a pilgrimage to the point that takes 50 millennia. Just break their shields, right? Don't go for flashy plays, don't go for flanks, don't go for picks, right? Just go, play the safe route, break their shields. Once their shields are down, they're going to be exposed, and then we can get picks, right? But until then, if there's an easy, safe, consistent way to get an advantage, we can just take that advantage. Okay? So this is already a problem. Right here, after you manage to force them out, you start rotating to the right side here, right? And this shows me that you didn't understand how that first fight actually went. So we talked about either you get a pick or you break their shield, and the consequences of either of those actions is that they're going to huddle in that room. But right here, you anticipated them to walk through, because you weren't looking, or you weren't aiming your attention at this room where they're going to be. You walk towards the right. Am I reading into that correctly?
Well, I mean, because the Reinhardt walked out.
Exactly, but because his team is going to be stuck here, right?
No, yeah.
The Reinhardt running through, that would have been a mistake, right? That would
No,
be
I understand.
terrible.
No, I got what you're saying. Like, you're saying that, like, I know that the Lucio's dead, so they're not going to push. So they're going to be there. So then I shouldn't have called the rotate. But, like, I wasn't thinking that when I was playing. I wasn't thinking what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was playing. Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't like, oh, they'll stay there. You know, like, I didn't know that. I was like, oh my God, we have to go to the right side. Like,
exactly. But now, because we understand it, we can kind of predict what they're going to do.
Yeah, and whether they do it or not, it doesn't matter. Like, now that thought process, I won't have to have that conversation in my head.
So right here, what should you be doing?
Placing my shield there, but I don't have it.
Well,
or like, are we trying to like? Oh, I should pull them.
Yes, you should pull them.
To take their resources away.
Every single time one of your abilities comes off cooldown, you need to ask yourself the question: what the hell am I going to use this for? Right? Because if you have a plan for each of your abilities going into a fight, then you don't have to think about that during the fight. And it's less overwhelming. You always want to do as much like head work and preparation before the fights as possible.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense.
So ideally, especially with your comp, look to pull people out, get easy picks. And again, you want to break shields here, but you can't break their shields if they're here. Because what's going to happen is this Lucio is going to come back, right? And they're going to have full shields.
Yeah.
And they're going to walk towards the point.
The pilgrimage, as you call it, it's easier than before because they don't have to go to that
exactly, right?
It
takes longer, but it's easier to, it's going to be easier for them to be successful this time. So what you want to do is, while they're wasting their time in there, don't give them a second to breathe. Don't let them just recharge their shields, right? Constantly apply pressure, because either you pull someone out and they die, or you pull someone out and they don't die because there's a shield in front of them, but then the shield dies. But either one of those outcomes is good for you.
Okay.
Right? So you always need to consistently apply pressure, and as Orisa, your pull is your main way of applying pressure. By punishing people, by pulling them out of position, by exposing them, etc. Because now the enemy team is grouped up, and they're gonna have full shields, and they can do whatever they want. And look at what you guys have to do as a response. You guys are falling back.
So is this a misplay?
Well, I mean, you tell me. So what is the problem here?
I don't want to face them up there.
So here's what I said earlier. So you want to avoid letting them get too close to the point. Pretty much the only time that you should fall back is if you cannot hold a position without dying. okay, you're still too worried about like them being a brawl comp. Like you're too worried about them running you over. But right here, okay, you see that the enemy team is rotating towards the left side. How do we know? There's a Mei wall. Why would they put up the Mei wall there instead of on the right side? Like they're going towards the left side.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know they're going to go in here. Now, who would you say has the positional advantage? The team stuck in this little room having to fight up the stairs, or you guys having all of this area to just surround the choke from?
Okay.
Obviously, you guys have the positional advantage.
Right.
Right? What you don't want, because look at what you're doing here. Do you see where you guys are going?
Yeah, we're giving them space, and that's not.
Okay.
We talked about it after. That is
Right.
that is not a good place to be.
And where's the enemy team going to go if you guys go into that room?
To the point.
To the point. Now they're out in the open, and you guys are into the room.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna have to fight them eventually. That's what you need to understand, right? But would you rather fight them while they are capturing the point, and you guys are stuck in this room having to squeeze yourselves through this little door? Or would you rather instead fight them while they are in this little room, having to scramble through this little door while you guys are out in the open? Obviously, this position is in every single way superior. Do you see why?
So we would just... Because you said that if I pull... Like when they were trying to rotate in the original choke, if I pull them and then we all play correctly and we all shoot the shields, that shield will break. So you think that if we all rotated to face them in here, that we could have won the fight?
You want to delay them advancing to the point for as long as possible, right?
Yes.
And by playing here, right, either eventually they're going to go through the choke and you guys can just fall back, but they're going to have used more resources, you're going to have more ult charge, they're going to have less shields, or they're just going to be stuck in there forever wasting their time.
Right.
Right? So
yes.
you want to make it, so on defense, for example, I'm going to use another map and game mode for this because maybe that way it makes a little bit more sense. Let's say you're defending a payload map.
Okay.
Right? When you're defending a payload map, you want to try to have as many fights as possible. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Do you understand why? Why do you want to have as many fights as possible when you're defending on a payload map?
Because then you waste the most time.
You waste the most time because the other team is playing against the clock.
Yeah.
Right? So maps like King's Row, they've already been figured out. Teams know exactly which corners to hold and which ones to skip to maximize the amount of fights on that map. Right? So on the King's Row second point, you hold them at the choke, then you hold them at the library, you skip the corner around the boiler with the mega, and then you hold them at the last corner again.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, I could go into details on why you do it that way, but that way you have like 3 positions where you can hold, which gives you at least 2 fights on that second phase. Whereas if you take the fight around the boiler, so around the center, if you lose there, they're just going to push to the end and you're going to be kind of, in a not good position. Right? But this way they maximize how many fights they can take. In an ideal situation, they can sometimes even have 3 fights on just that second phase. And even if they lose all of those fights, it's just about burning down the clock, getting them to overtime. So what is going to take up more time for the attacking team? Having to deal with getting out of this room, or you guys just falling back immediately and letting them on the point for free?
So it will take them longer if we fight them here.
Exactly. You're delaying them. And it's very low risk because, again, so they're in a very narrow space, and being in a narrow space is bad, right?
Right.
Do you understand why it's bad?
Yeah, because they're trapped in there.
Yeah, they can't take off angles, they can't flank you, they don't really have a lot of angles to shoot. You know that the only way you can die is if you stand over here without a shield in front of you. Which means you could play with like the worst players imaginable, and they probably wouldn't feed. Because you have to like actually try in order to feed, right? So
yeah.
They're going to be stuck in there, they're going to get pressured, they're going to get their shields spammed down. The only way that they can really get out of there, right, is by using ultimates, which again takes a very, very long time. right? So ideally, they shouldn't have even gone here. They should have just said, okay, like, we can't go in there. We're just going to be held there forever. Like, we can't push out unless we have ultimates. Okay? They should have taken the other route, stayed out in the open, and figured a way to get onto the point. Because when they're on the point, then all of a sudden it's the other way around. Right here, the attackers are playing against the clock. They have the call to action. They need to do something. Right? You always need to ask yourself the question, if both teams disconnected, if both teams' keyboards and mice just disconnected, which team would win? Right?
We would win.
So in this situation, exactly. But what happens if you guys are in this room and the enemy team is on the point? Who would win then?
They would win.
They would win, exactly. Which means in this situation, you guys would need to make a move. You guys would need to play proactive, while the other team can just sit and wait until you guys do something. Whereas here, the burden of the first move is on them. You guys can just chill. You don't have to do anything. You can just play safe. They need to do something. And when they do something, you can punish them for it. Okay? So in retrospect, does it make sense why you should have held there?
It does make sense why we should have held it. But I'm worried because what you said makes sense, because even staying here, even if I think we'll lose the fight here, we're still wasting more time if we go over there, because then they're just going to go to the point and we're fucked.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, I'm not confident that, let's say I put my shield down right there. Can I write? Can I draw?
No, but I know what you mean. You just mean like in front of the thing?
Yeah, if I put the shield there.
Yeah.
And then they ignore us and they keep going to go to the back to the mega side. No, then it's just like, oh, well, fuck. Like, now we don't have a shield. Like, wouldn't I be in a disadvantage then?
No, you don't care about losing your shields because you're always going to get a new one. And you also have your Sigma shield as well. By the time they can make any meaningful progress to get out of there, you guys are going to have your ultimates. Like, you have to understand, it's not like they're just going to sit in there and break your shields, and then once your shields are down, they're just going to rush you. While they're in there, their own shields are going to break as well. Right?
I think I'm thinking of it as we have to win the team fight by killing them all the time. That's like what I'm thinking. And you're saying you don't have to do that.
You don't have to do anything. As I said, if everyone's mouse and keyboard disconnected, you would win. You don't have to do anything here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because we wait for them to make the move, and if we can take shit away from them, we can just take it.
Exactly. Like that's how top 500 players make it look so easy, because they understand in certain situations they're not the ones who need to do something. The enemy team has to do something, and they just have to respond. Right? So if I would put a top 500 team here and they were actually tryharding, like they weren't just trying to embarrass you or whatever, they would literally just stand here, put the shield, and then wait. And then the other team is like, guys, what do we do now? Like, right? Like, we need to go in, we can't stay here. And then the Reinhardt runs forward, and then his shield breaks, and then he's like, but I can't run forward. And then he's like, well, yeah, but we can't really stay in this room. So it's in a dilemma.
Right? You
remove options for them, because the longer they wait, the worse it gets for them, essentially. Right? They need to be decisive. They need to rush you guys. But teams, especially at this rating, aren't decisive. They're going to sit in there and they're going to take their sweet time thinking about what the hell they're supposed to do next.
Okay. So, all right. So now I'm convinced. The whole time you were explaining, I understood what you were saying, but it's like, I just felt like we had to do something. In the moment when I was playing, I felt like we have to do something because they're moving. And like, you're right. Like, we do have to do something, or like the something is to stay here.
Yeah, the something is exactly. This is like as a main tank, this is called a choke.
Yeah.
Right? As a main tank, chokes, you love them. They're great.
When you're defending.
Okay. When you're defending, exactly. When you're attacking, obviously it's more tough, right? When you're defending at chokes or defending at like corners, right, is your best bet. You don't want to just defend on like big open spaces or like roads or something. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I got
it.
This part makes perfect sense.
Right?
Yeah, this makes sense.
And this way, you're going to have two fights. You're going to have one here, and you're going to have one on the point, instead of only having one fight. So this fight is in your advantage. Which team has the advantage over here? Just to recap, which team has the advantage?
We have the advantage.
You guys have the advantage. So instead of having like you're just skipping out on a fight in which you would have an advantage anyways, right? This is just free. It is completely
we gave
free.
it to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you guys are just giving it to them. Right? And you're going all the way and you're hesitating. And now you're in this little garbage room. Right? It's like, does this look convincing?
No. I remember being like, oh fuck, when we were here.
Like what is the game plan here?
There is no game plan. We're all diamonds. And I'm a plat.
Exactly. So, and again, like these are, like it's good that you guys are rotating to the point. If you guys would have stayed there and just let them get onto the point for free, that would have been really bad. But look, now the fight is even. You guys are out in the open and they are out in the open.
But they also, like, I think they misplayed. Because, like
course.
You said,
yeah, they should have just rushed towards the point. Exactly. They should have just rushed towards the point, right?
Yeah.
But now you're in an even fight instead of an advantageous fight like before, right? And again, they're terrible. I don't know what they're doing, right? But in the end, like the only reason you've won any team fights so far is because of them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. By the way, another thing. Do you have your notes ready?
Yeah, I have it open.
Just quickly write down a turn on allied health bars.
Whoops.
Yes.
Allied health bars.
Yeah.
I don't know that was a thing.
Just it's in your control settings out of all places. At least like I'm pretty sure it is. Like I don't know, they change it all the time. But under controls for all characters, it should just say like show allied health bars, and you can turn it on. Because it's really important to know how healthy your teammates are. Like
I never thought of that.
So I mean, it's I have no idea why it's not turned on by default. It is genuinely beyond me why they wouldn't turn it on by default. But yeah, so the problem here is you guys have, like they haven't really been doing anything, but you're not really doing anything either. Like you're halfway through your ultimate and it's been 90 seconds. Right?
Yeah.
So this has been rather uneventful so far. It's just kind
both suck.
Yeah, as harsh as it sounds, kinda, yeah.
That's alright.
But okay, the game plan stays the same. Just continue spamming them out. Right? Obviously now they're outplaying you with the sick Mei walls, but again, that's obviously completely fine. Right? So here, same thing. Right? So now they're actually doing it a little bit smarter. Right? Because they are making these, like this rotation was very, very quickly. But it's important.
Yeah, they did it really quickly. Yeah.
It's important. Like, let me listen to the comms real quick.
Bash is back.
Left, where are they going?
Left.
Same.
Where are they going? Question mark. Someone asked. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you guys need to actually like communicate that properly, right? So the Sigma can take the little off angle and he can see it. The Hanzo can call it. Like the moment that he went up there, he should have called like right or left, because that's really really important information.
One of my team's weaknesses is that they don't talk.
Well, you don't always have to talk, but like this is pretty important information. Right?
Yeah.
You could have predicted that they went left side because they went left side last time with the Mei wall. Yeah, with the Mei wall they went there last time, exactly. Because if they go to the right side, they probably would have used their Mei wall a little bit later for like, because if they go right side, they just need to do this little walk. So using the wall for that isn't worth it. But if they go left side, they need to go all the way across the map. So right there, obviously the wall gets more value. So ideally, yes. Could have predicted that they go left side, or could have just talked about it, or someone really should have just called it. And then the moment you saw that they weren't on the right side, you just have to turn around immediately. You need to drop your shield here, and right off the bat, you can throw your pull into this room. Now, what is that pull going to do? What is the purpose of throwing a pull there right away?
It puts them in our side, so we can just shoot the shields.
It delays them. Right?
Oh, okay.
Right? Because what you don't want right now, because your team is getting caught off guard here.
Yeah.
No one expected them to go left side. I mean, you could have, but, everyone was like, where are they going? Where are they going? Right?
Yeah, we definitely didn't know.
Exactly. So you guys didn't know. So you are like, oh, wait, they go left side, but my team isn't ready. My team isn't set up for this, right? So you throw your halt just to keep them stuck there for a while. It's not about getting picks. It's not about doing anything. It's literally just if they get halted by you, they can't move forward. Because look at what they do here.
Yeah, they move forward, so that would have delayed that push.
They're already here, right? And your halt could have chunked out, could have given you a good 1 to 2 extra seconds, which is enough for your teammates to reposition. It's extra shield damage, and it would have allowed you to place your own shield. Okay, because now you're back in this position, and this position is just very, very awkward for you. Again, I don't know what they're doing. This is just... See, so this is the situation that I was talking about. If everyone's mouse and keyboard disconnected, who would win?
Them.
So you need to do something. You need to make a play. But do you have a comp that wants to make a play? Do you have a comp that wants to run in?
No, we don't.
You guys are playing bunker. We talked about this at the start. Your goals are poke and shield break. But right here, you just don't have the time for that. You guys need... Someone has to touch. Right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to get ticks. But there we go. They just get that first tick for free. Your Zenyatta is dead. Your positioning is terrible in that room. Because the Hanzo ultimate just completely messes you guys up.
Yeah.
Right? And... You know, at this point, I don't really have to say much more.
No, yeah, we fucked up.
Yeah. Okay, well, now we're getting towards the end of the session. Keep in mind what we talked about earlier regarding the whole playtime and what your goals are, etc. Do you have any questions, be it about what we talked about earlier or about the gameplay that we just went over?
Can't really think of anything right now.
Okay, good. In case you're curious, the reason why I wrote that one is I wanted to count how many mistakes you made that were like caused just by your lack of playtime.
Right.
Because if this number would have stacked up to like 39 or something crazy, then I would have just told you, like, quite frankly, it's not because you don't have game knowledge, it's just because you mess up because you don't play enough. But looking at this, it definitely, and it's kind of a given as a main tank, right? As a DPS player, this number probably would have stacked up more because you just need a significant amount of playtime. But as a main tank, let me phrase it this way. There is still a significant amount of stuff about main tank that you can learn without increasing your playtime. But even then, it's... it'll only get you that far, right? Sure. So I don't want you to go like, ooh, I can hit GM with 6 hours a week if I just play smarter. Like, obviously that's going to be difficult. But a lot of these like fundamentals, like knowing where to hold people, knowing how the clock works, that's what I was talking about earlier, about things that are intuitive to a lot of players. Whereas since you don't have any previous experience and you don't play a lot, these are things that you still have to learn and figure out and work on, essentially. Yeah.
Sure. What number is it?
Oh, I stopped counting because you didn't make any more mistakes that were just caused by it, right? So the first mistake you made at the start was the shield that you dropped. Like,
yeah, but that was an accident. That was a misclick.
yeah, that's what I mean exactly. But those misclicks happen because you don't play enough.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So what I meant by that number is I was counting the amount of mistakes you made. Where like it was just like where it was obvious, right? It was just a misclick, or you accidentally, for example, some of the mistakes are they die without using an ability. That's not because they don't know that ability could have saved them, right? For example, if you would have died with your Fortify available, that would have increased the number. If you would have accidentally used your ultimate, that would have increased the number. If you're on high ground and you accidentally drop out, that would have increased the number. Because, and I know you're laughing, but trust me, like the amount of DPS players that played less than 10 hours a week that I had to review, like the VOD review is literally 70% just, oh, good position, you're on high ground, and then 2 seconds later they just fall off, and I ask them, why did you go off high ground? It was such good positioning. And then they're like, I don't know, I just like I was right? And that's what I'm saying, because those kind of like, I don't know, like they're called like Verlegenheitsfehler in German, which essentially means mistakes that don't have anything to do with you being stupid. It's just you not being, focused, essentially. Okay.
Gotcha.
But yeah, luckily for you, most of the mistakes that you made didn't have anything to do with you not being focused. It was mostly just you not properly understanding how to play the comp and not properly understanding how to choose which areas to fight in on Orisa. So, do you have any final questions?
Nah, I don't know. No, I don't.